Today we're going to be looking at a nice bird, and the bird's name is a thickney, or a stone curlew, a curlew at least, and this one was taken, the photograph was in the days long before colour came out as all black and white, and I did my own photography, darkroom, and I just bought myself a nice camera, single lens reflex, a Sai Pentax, and brand new lens. The biggest one I could afford at the time was a 135mm lens. Now, you know, trying to photograph a bird with a 135mm lens is it's too small. So what I did was, and this is photographed on his father's farm, my late father-in-law's farm, and I put myself down flat on the ground with a blanket over the top of me, and of course it took quite a time for them to come through to the nest. Anyway, I got a lovely series of photographs from them, and we're going to be doing this now. Okay, there we've got the picture of it, and we're going to be using that one. And I've already done my my pencil outline, and as usual I have my Indian ink in my little holder, and my felt tip pens on the side here, and then my the ordinary one, and a little mapping pen to do all the very fine lines. What we're going to do, I'm going to establish as normal all the outlines, so let's bring a little bit more centralized through like that. Let's just keep that there. Alright, let's keep this one. No, I'll keep that one there at the time being, and then I'm going to go through the very fine, just very lightly, just establish the outline. Sort of a touch and go, it'll just touch and go. I've got pencil on here, but once we've finished all the pen and ink work, if there's any pencil that's showing, it's very easy to rub that out. Bring this through here very lightly. And this one here is not easy to actually see where all the feather and the wing outlines are. These feathers are very close, and flat on each other, so they tend to disappear a little bit. The result is we won't be actually drawing feather details, because you really can't make out one feather from the other. So we got that. Let's establish the eye. Be very careful on this one. A little ring around the edge, a little bit of a light. And it got like a little eyebrow coming across here. A bit of a lighter area. And here we got the light on the top, and the shadows tend to come down a little bit. Then there's a bit of a lighter area across here. Just want to bring it. We don't want to lose these little lighter patches that are here. Another little light patch across here. And then we have the beak. side of the face comes down here, looking sideways. And then you have the dark bit of the beak coming in and out here. So, and you've got the nostril in this area. A bit of a dark here. It'll come in a bit later and with the actual details. A bit of a lighter patch in this area. Now, here, behind where the male is standing, the female is sitting on the nest. And that's the only reason why I could get close to them, was that they had a nest and they were still incubating the eggs. So this will come down. And what are you going to do with the female on the nest is we're going to make her very, very much lighter and purposely sort of push her into the background so that the male will stand out. And this particular one is the one that has also been used in the pen and ink, the pencil drawings. So let's have a look. Here's a bit of the thick knee coming out here, and it's got very thin little legs, spindly little legs. Got to do this one down first, and then the foot comes out and disappears there in amongst all the loose little leaves and stuff down to the bottom. So let's bring this down. Got the other one, there's some feathers across here. And got the big knee again, comes down, right down, and widens out. There's the knee again, and this comes down nicely down the bottom. There we're sort of establishing the outline. So let's do this one. Very softly, I'm not going to put a definite line. And that comes around. And across here you've got some of the leaves, you've got little twigs and stuff that, let's put them in now. A little twig coming across. Got another little one that's put a little bit higher up here. Disappearing, there's another little twig across here. And we have the ground level, all the roughness in this particular area. And here's a bit roughness here as well. Down into here, and here we've got a nice dark area. And in here as well you have a bit of a lighter area where this wing, and all this area here is nice and dark, and a bit lighter in this area down here. Okay, so there we've got that. We've got this other, oh yes, this wing still comes up here a bit, and then disappears up into that area. And in here like that. And then we've got still some of the marks down into here. A bit of the wing comes in up into that area and then disappears. So let's let's start at the top, and then I normally finish the head and the eyes, and once I've got that part, then I know I can then work onto the rest. So I'm going to zoom in now into this particular area. Right, let's come in, and in the photograph it shows there's no highlight because the shadow is coming across the top, but we're going to put a tiny little glint in. So all this is going to be, eye is going to be absolutely solid, but right at the top I'm going to leave a tiny little glint. See me take the number 3. One can be easier than with a sharper point. Clean that in. There it is, better. Let's say that you've made a mistake and you've lost that little glint. You can always come back with a very fine brush, like a tip of a rigger brush, and with some acrylic white, come along and just put a tiny little touch there where you need to. Okay, so let's do the beak here while we got this pen. A bit of a darker patch in here. Dark in this area. I'm just looking at some of the darker markings. Darker underneath this area. What I'm going to do with the bird is I'm going to start plotting in all the real darker areas first, and then we have some intermediate ones which I'll put in with the smaller nib. Let me just put that down the side there at the moment, and we've got some little bit of a darker areas here. We have some darker ones coming down here. What I'm doing is I'm looking at the comparing of the photograph and putting some of these markings in with. It don't have to be exactly, as long as they look optically right, because no one bird with these markings is going to be the same, and they change position slightly, then all these markings change anyway. Yeah, I'm going to be using lots of tiny little hair strokes. And to get the molding, I'll come in and put in some of the shading of the body itself. cross hatching with the with the fine pen. Some markings at the top here. Some lighter ones here. I'll come with a finer pen and put that in. Because this part of the neck here is all in the shade. Put it lightly first, and then you can come in and darken up some of the others. Very lightly. I'm using very, very, very light touch with a 0.3 pen. Very light. All the time I'm watching the slope and the lines, the markings as they go, because the line of those markings gives you also the shape of the head and also quite a lot of the molding. Some of those marks go right up to the edge. Here we've got a lighter area, which I'm going to leave that there. Bring all these down. Some of these ones you've got markings out this way. Right up to the edge. Bring this down here. Goes over a little bit down the side to give you sort of a shape of the neck. Get some of those this way. Okay, now I'm going to come in with the dip pen, the fine one. Just have to clean that a bit. I should have cleaned it just now. Let me just clean that. Make sure that the point is nice and clean and shine. There we go. So there's the top. Right. Now I'm going to dip. And I'm going to very lightly come in with some cross hatching. Very, very lightly. Very fine to build up. I'm going around this way first. And then I'm going to come around that way. Slowly build up there. It's a type of cross hatching that I'm putting in here at the moment. A few little marks inside there, across here, and just darken this area up a little bit so that this lighter part shows up nicely. A bit darker around here so it goes up a little bit. Few little marks in there just to show that there's something there. And the top here we have the very lighter markings. It's got the sunshine on the top here. And it's not completely pure white, so I'm going to put a few little dots in that area. There we go. inside this area too, a little bit, a few little markings in there, a few little markings. It's almost like a little cap across there. Here's also some shade, so just put a few little scratchings in there, shade across here. I need a few more little cross hatchings this way to counteract all the others that's going the wrong way. So I'm also going round a little bit to give it the rounding of the neck. Okay, that's fair enough at the moment. So let's go a little bit to this side, and all those markings are not absolutely solid black. Some areas you'll have a bit of a solid black. Here's part of the wing. This one wing is coming down here and making it turn across here. Got the one, then you've got the other one. So some of these markings here will be right up against that line. And a few across here and down here. Against that line and down. And we've got some other ones, some of these other ones, we'll bring them across here. And that'll sort of show off that little bit of a line because of the edging of some of these markings on the wing. So let's put some in here. I've put the main ones in. Very little light scratchings. Start bringing up the marks. Some of them are very faint. Some of them are very much fainter than the other. And of course here with the very close up, these look very, very rough. Some of these ones are disappearing around the outside. That'll also come right up against the line. And also the markings still give you the rounding that's coming over this way here. And some is a bit across here, and some have got that way. Going to look at the shape of the back, because the back across here is also got a bit of a hollow, so we've got to follow those little lines. Down here we have quite a bit of stronger marking across here. Some of these markings across against this line again, up this way. You don't have to follow them exactly. All you do is just sort of keep them in the lines in the form of what they're supposed to be going. It looks rough at the moment, but we've got to come in and also give a little bit of molding and shading. We'll do that with cross hatchings, and we'll come back and we'll beef up and add a few more of these in, just to start getting the feeling of this going. A lot of tiny little ones in here. See, they start forming coming down here, and then here they also start getting some of these flattening out here a bit. some also going down the sides, and they go right up to the edge. But the sun is catching this bit here, so we're going to have just a few very lines. Don't overdo it. If it is brighter, you're going to see much less than these markings. They tend to be burnt out. There's a loose little feather out here. One coming down right to the side. Here we have a whole stack of little ones coming out. And you're looking at them sideways, where here you see them quite wide. Sideways, they actually flattened out and they elongated because you're looking at them completely sideways. These are almost like in little rows if you look carefully there. Also turning upwards. There's another little row across here. Bigger one, bigger lots down the bottom here. And lots of little fainter ones. Lots of little smaller ones in here. Also right up against the edge, because some of them are going round on the other side. Here we have a few little lighter ones, little darker ones down here in the shade of the wing. Nicely along the edge. And up a bit here. A few of them, and a nice little dark one here as well. And just a few little lines in between. And then against this one too, you also got some darker ones. You have to delineate, show that this line goes across. The only way you can really see that line properly is by the edging of these little marks, which these ones go under the wing. Some of the ones on the top of the wing will end up on this side here. So you've got a few one little sort of end right up on that one. Some of these ones here, you'll see they actually start making a little turn down this way to give you the rounding here. So all the time I'm watching my picture. Sort of more or less copying, but not exactly 100%. Lighter ones and some a little bit darker in this area. And here we got some other marks also against this line. Ending against that line there. Here we got some very light, fine feathers that come here from around the leg, the thigh, coming out. Dark inside here. Light's coming from the right, so it'll be a bit darker this side. And then we have the shadow across here. Around here where the knee is quite dark. Here I put a few little lines this way, a bit of a rounding, gives you the feel of the rounding of the leg. Very, very lightly without sort of losing the highlight at that point. Sorry, I should have done that. So we're working down here, sort of digressing a little bit. It's also with all these marks the side of the knee, and a little bit darker down in this area. The side is quite dark, so I'm going to take the 3.3 and I'm going to just touch up the darker areas. Leave a little bit of a highlight on the side here. Then we're going to go down here. It's quite dark in this area. It's quite shade. So leave a little area. Let's go here. Leave that tiny little bit of a highlight there, just to give the marking there. So here it's going to be quite dark, and this is going to be all down here. It's going to be part of all the rubble just now in the ground. Part of the leg goes out there. So let's do this one while we're about it. Here we got the knee, and that's completely in the shade here underneath the tail. So we're going to block that one in 100%. Let's block that one in. And here we're also going to start coming into the same with the other leg. Leave that thin little line. Just a highlight. And this one here is also going to sort of just disappear here into the shadow, and all the little leaves and twigs and stones and what have you. A bit of a darker line here. Shadow, giving you the thickness of the tail feather. A bit of a darker area inside here. Pick that up. There's also a shadow that'll sort of come down here. Part of the wing is higher up than the tail. So you've got a few little markings here. And there's a bit of a shadow across the side here too. Let's put that in there. And here, let's darken it up. There's a nice, really nice dark marking in this area. Across there's a little one down here. And a little dark marking in here. Here we've got some dark ones. Just up a little bit into here, roughly against that, and a few little ones here. A little dark one, and I'm going to just solid in some of these ones here. And some of the feathers have lifted up a little bit here. Let's do that. Just underneath, I've left some of that little scribbling there. Oh, there. There we go. I've left some of those little lines in there. And given it that nice dark here, right in here where the fold of the wing. Let's add some of these little bit darker ones here, there, against that wing, where the wing of the fold of the wing is. And then there's a few little darker ones down here. Now, and against this one, there's also a nice one here. Has to go down that way a little bit. A few down this side, go right down to the edge. A few darker ones. And we've got some sort of half lighter ones in between. So we got here's a bit of a darker marking here. A bit of a darker one coming down to the side. Add a few little darker ones in here. Okay, now I'm going to come in again with the smaller pen. Just clean him up. Because what happens, this tends to clog up because it is actually finely ground powder. And we have some very, very light ones in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting some moldings, very light hatching coming across. And also to get the rounding, taking some this side and some that way. In other words, all still that to give me the rounding. A little bit more dark around the edges course it's a cylindrical, so the sun is coming from this side, so you'll have a little bit darker here. Right, let's add some of these markings here in the wing. Got little feathers coming in here, but you don't really see them. So let's just give it a bit of an indication. But I don't want to go and try and indicate absolute feathers as such. Darken this one a little bit. This down underneath here has got some shade, so let's put some nice cross hatching across down here, but all with a bit of an angle, and they're not straight lines. What I'm doing is I'm just lifting that wing a bit. So let's lift that wing also down this side here. It's going under. So all this area here will also still have some shade. So give it part of that rounding. I'm giving the shadow detail there. And then let's give a few little bits of shadow in here by this wing. So lift it out a little bit, and these are a bit lighter. Markings all in here, the sun, some a little bit darker, some a little bit lighter. Some places here you can use your imagination a little bit, as long as it's looking like it should be. Right, let's put a little bit of a rounding here. But that bit a little hollow here. Let's indicate that hollow a little bit. All this close-up looks very, very rough, but the moment you look at from your viewing distance, then your eyes merge them all together. It's like all the little dots that you see on a newsprint. If you look at them too close, you see all the little dots. As soon as you move further away, then they all merge together and give you a nice much sharper image. That's the reason why I in my classes take the painting away from the student and put it in at a distance, so that they can look at it from a distance. You often look at it too close and you miss the nice feeling of your painting, because you always think you're doing something wrong. In the meantime, there is nothing wrong. Darken that area a little bit there. Here we also have a few little markings. Another little feather across it. Sometimes the one is over the other. A little, say this one here. Another bird. Let's bring a little bit of cross-hatching in here. A little bit more cross-hatching just to get some texture in. A little bit across the side. Not too much, otherwise you make it too dark. Lines must be very, very light. Darken this up a little bit to sort of lift that part out. There you go. And here we need some, this other part of the wing here, is this part going up here as well. Here, some of these are the ones that are a little flatter here to give you the flatness of the body. Just bring the output more sideways. And the side a little bit more downwards. Give you the feeling of coming roundness of the body, a few little lighter areas inside here. Okay, now I'm just going to put a just a few little light lines. Just to give it the texture that it stands out from the thing. Right now, let's come down to this area. We're going to do that. This area here is going to be very much lighter than the other, because we want that to stand out or sort of disappear into the background. Some of these you'll have to go sort of to the leg and from the outside, but it's going past, and in other words, it's not just inside. Some of it is coming there, some of it is coming out on this side as well. There's also some of these little ones across here. think some of this tail should actually be a bit further down here as well. So let's bring that down into there. That looks a bit better. In this area here is quite a bit of a darker area. All that shade. There's a bit of a lighter line across here as well. And you've got some of those feathers, so let's show some of that feather line. Inside here too, you've got some lighter markings. Out here. And some of this is going out that way. Not just trying to go to too much detail, I just want to give a very sort of faint out of focus. Here there's hardly any. Sun's coming from this side, so you're being burnt out a little bit. Little sideways ones. And as it gets down into shadow, you start seeing a bit more detail. So to make this one, start making these ones a little bit more darker. Then I'll come with the other pen and put some nice darker markings in. Some sort of indication of a few feathers inside here. Very few little markings in here. Just some random markings. And put some shadow in this area. Right, let's come with the other pen. And it's here where the one wing is over the other. You've got this like a hollow inside here, so let's show that hollow. Gives you that nice bit of contrast inside here as well. Then it tends to fade away a bit out the side and starts catching some light, so you're not going to make it too dark in there. There we go. We've got some darker markings in here. Just watch out for the little twig. Don't want to spoil in there, so let's take that. And you've got some of these darker markings in here. And in here you've got also some darker markings. So they've got slightly downwards for the rounding. And some will disappear there. And we got this, a lot of little ones in this area. Underneath the tail here too, there's a bit of a shadow area. Very careful here against the, you want to show that twig. Quite a bit of shadow in here, so this is very rough. No real detail inside here. Tweak there. Right, now I'm going to zoom out now. Right, here we see the bird, and all the little cross-hatching that it looked real terrible in the beginning has sort of half disappeared inside here, and we're looking at it now as we should do, and all those fine little lines have actually brought out the color of this body against the white. Here you can see the sunlight hitting on this one, subdued, and a bit of shadow underneath, just to show you that he is now standing guard over her, and we're going to now put all the little pieces of twigs and stuff down the bottom, just very random markings and it's very rough. We're not going to try and show all the little funny things, just to give you the idea that it's on some ground. You've got a few little things standing up. Maybe there's a bit of a twig standing up this side here somewhere, out here. And there's maybe a little twig out here. A few others aside, just to keep those others company. It's a bit darker down here. We've got some other little. This is where we just put all sorts of funny little squiggles and stuff. I'm going to come in with the bigger pen, and as it comes closer, a few little more darker details. So let's see, some of these, let's say the twigs are coming here, some is coming down that side, so we're bringing it out from here down into here. Then I'm going to put some little and not in, be careful not into the highlight on the legs. Just to pass the body, just to give it a bit of depth, otherwise it looks like it's sitting on an edge of something. Right, now I'm going to come in with the bigger pen. We do have some shadow down this end here, so let's put some shadow here, put it much darker. Remember the little marks that we used to do in the practice sessions? It's the same down in this area, just to give the impression of little leaves and sticking up. And some dark on the one side, dark out on the other side, so that you get a balance of little things, odd things that are sitting on the side. Let's put one across here, another one here, a few little darker areas here just to bring out some of the twigs. So if you're here next to that, bring that tail out a bit stronger. In sunlight, so it's causing some shadow across there too. Let's put some here. With the grasses and twigs and all sorts of things are standing out. So I'm going to put some shadow in here just now. In a short while's time, since I finish this piece here. This one's also throwing some shadow across in this end. Sun is coming from that side, so let's put that out here. All little twigs, the toes are disappearing in the twigs. A few little darker patches. shadow patches all over the place, deeper things. More of the shadow in this area. What I'm doing is just putting a bit more scribbles inside there